Hi, I'm John Bodan from SampleLibraryReview.com. This is a very fun and exciting interview with Daniel Beijbom. He is a composer with hundreds or so trailer tracks out with several different music publishers. Had a lot of luck with placements, including Star Wars, Rogue One, Logan, Spider-Man Homecoming, and many, many more. He also has just teamed up with Trailer Music Academy and has his first course, Trailer Music Mastery, and it takes you step by step and a complete walkthrough with, 9-10 hours of video of from scratch to finished, how he goes about creating a trailer track. I took most of the course, I learned a lot, but I wanted to spend some time talking to Daniel and pick his brain. Got some questions from different SLR readers. We'll ask him. So yeah, let's just jump into the interview. Daniel, thanks for taking a little time out of your day today to talk with me. I've got a bunch of questions myself, as well as some from Sample Library Review users and SLR Workshops users. And the reason I wanted to get in touch is because I've been going through your trailer music mastery course and watching you build your tracks. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about a little bit about your background. You started in a rock band, is that correct?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of that before, just writing demos here and with different rock bands, rock pop, kind of like a Coldplay fusion thing going on there, but different styles: rock, pop, progressive rock, metal. So yeah, a lot of that stuff.
Now, as you're working in a band, transitioning to working on music for media, what were your biggest obstacles? Like, I know it's a very different mindset.
Right. I think the biggest thing there would be production.
Mm-hmm.
So going from just writing, as I said, demos, and then just using basic stuff in Logic, and then going over to trailer music, where the first track I heard was Attila Atz with his shredder, which is very popular. And it was just, okay, so this is where the level is at. This is production. All right, let's try to figure out what's going on here. And I just bought some basics like Damage, Percussion, and some LA scoring strings light, and just started with there and just trying to understand, going from my world, just writing demos, and then to this huge production, trying to figure out what's going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I talk to different composers a lot about production as well, and I kind of say that the hook is the king, but production is queen, and if you don't have a great queen, then you just aren't going to make it.
That's very true. That's very true. Production is really an important factor, and just by doing it, you just get better at it, and you start to understand that. Coming from also, one of my biggest passions is film music, and so bit of a transition there from the soundtrack feel over to like this huge kind of production where you need to think of this all the time. And so production, of course, huge thing.
Yeah. Now you mentioned in your bio that you had a diverse range of music you loved growing up, from Tchaikovsky to Michael Jackson.
Right.
How do you think that having a diverse range of influences has helped you grow as a trailer composer?
So I think a lot of that, from classical to film music to Michael Jackson, all that, is just my love for harmonies. And I love to just try to mix it up, doing something interesting. And that's always been one of my things. So I love to just kind of go somewhere with the harmonies. And besides that, it's definitely rhythmic also, because I am a drummer, and I was a drummer in the bands I played in. And Michael Jackson with his rhythms and all the other things I listen to. So harmonies and rhythm, those things really took into that world.
Now, I've heard you play a little bit of piano when you're sketching out stuff. Are you a trained pianist by any chance?
Not trained, no. So I had like basic piano when I was 5. My mother, wanted me to go play a little bit, but I was just mostly with this new Suzuki method, they call it, just by ear, imitating the teacher. So, but thanks to that, I was still able to just get the basics so that I can now, sketch out what I want to do. And then just by experience, you get a little bit better. But I'm definitely not a classically trained at all. No, just those basic years.
Yeah, I no insult to drummers, but I was going to say you're a great piano player for a drummer.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, but it's nice to be able to just at least get your ideas. Like I cannot do certain things. I will still have to put in the piano roll in Logic or whatever. But just basic stuff is nice to be able to do on the keyboard there.
Yeah, just to have some chops under your fingers to
Yeah, exactly.
at least get your chord progressions down, and you can always clean stuff up in the piano.
Exactly.
Roll.
Always clean stuff up. Yeah. So yeah.
Now, somewhere I read that you've created nearly 100 tracks for different trailer companies, and I mentioned up front your credits with some great trailers, recent trailers. What do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned from the first time you started your trailers until your last dozen or so trailers? Like
probably like structure and hits, edit points, like those things coming from what I said before, film music and all that. It's quite different from soundtracks. So here, a lot of things when I started out was just I couldn't really seem to get those things to stick out. Making sure we had nice breaks for the editors to pick and choose sections from. So those things definitely, yeah. Yeah,
and one thing I think when I have a chance to work on trailer music or pitch trailer music is I think about it as emotion first and utility. Just like you're saying, thinking about those hit points for the editors. Thinking about how can this be useful for the editor.
Exactly.
Which is very different than creating film music or symphonies or anything like that.
That's very true. Exactly. So that's probably a little bit for me. It comes in with the harmonies, where I love to just kind of explore. But that's just not going to be enough. You still have to kind of incorporate these other things that makes it trailerish, and just kind of find that balance between those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a typical workflow in which you start a trailer track? Do you have some melodies you work on beforehand, or do you have rhythms in mind?
That can happen that I have ideas, just walking around. But mostly it's just sitting down with a keyboard with just typical piano sound. And then from there, just kind of sketching it out, like I'm also doing in creating the track from scratch in the course. But yeah, so the piano first, and then we'll flesh that out with I usually use a trailer template, which is always the previous track I did. I'll start from that track just to have some sounds, and then I'll add more sounds as the track gets more, its own voice. But piano, and then just using the sounds that I have in the template after that.
That's really interesting. I often use my other tracks as templates as well.
Nice.
Especially because I'm jumping genres for different clients all the time, and if they come to me and say, we really like this track that you did on whatever your album release or that commercial, then I can just pull that up. But listening to the way you do it, one might be able to actually hear a metamorphosis of timbre from your first track evolving through.
That's true. They could definitely. And one of those things you have to be careful of is to not use those sounds too much, because you get lazy and you have the template and the next track. So always try to at least find some way to make it different from track to track, even if you're using a lot of the same sounds. Yeah. Yeah.
So in that way, it's very different than the way a purely orchestral composer for film or TV would work, because they're always relying on that same template. Here you're trying to change it up, add some new interest and dimension every time.
Yeah, that is true. I guess that's just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I asked you how you started a trailer track.
Yeah.
The other question I had about how your workflow is, do you have anything at this point in your composing career arc that is the most important thing for you? You mentioned some things about hit points and whatnot, but
is there that's so you mean the most important things in a track for me that I like to bring forth?
Yeah.
I think definitely the basics. Those, like, if you have the structure, structures can vary, but usually it's like starting softly, going up to the main climax. Those things, giving a lot of edits, a lot of hits for the editor to use, like those basic things. So beyond that, it's once again just having fun for me with harmonies. like try not to fall into generic chord progressions. Only for me, because I enjoy trying to go somewhere with it. But those things are still what I feel is most important: the structure, the hit points, the chord progressions. Yeah.
Yeah. In your course, you have a chapter that just lists your favorite go-to sample libraries. But
right.
I want to ask you something a little trickier, and I didn't give you any advance warning here. This is a
Sure.
question from one of the readers, and it's also a feature we did not too long ago, which is if you had a laptop and you're going to be stranded on a desert island, what would be the 5 libraries you would have to take with you?
Well, it's funny because I do also have a laptop that I do some trailer music from when I'm traveling, a MacBook. But all right, so those things would have to be Cinematic Studio strings that I use for strings. Ever since they came about, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago, that's just been, it works for everything, classic things, just film scoring, trailer music. So Cinematic Studio strings, and then percussion, I would say, one I'm using now is called Strikeforce, which is just a really, really great library. So Strikeforce for percussion, brass, I'm going to use trailer brass. That's something I started using about a year ago. Amazing stuff, trailer brass. So those things are the basics there. Then we have for synths, I would use, I'm using a lot of Audio Imperia stuff. So I would take the photosynthesis Mystic with me because I'm using that from Audio Imperia a lot. And then I would take a choir. I would take from Performance Samples, Oceania, yeah, that one. I think that was 5. Was that 5?
Yeah, that was 5, and those are great. I mean, those are all fantastic libraries.
Yeah, I feel so too. Yeah.
For anybody who's curious, I'll include links that'll have lists of everything we discuss, including links to all these libraries. Strikeforce is laboratory audio. Trailer Brass is musical sampling.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned the other developers. Now, as far as sample libraries come into play with the output of your production, so obviously those are great libraries that bring the level of production you want. But how do you continue to keep your production level high if you have super tight deadlines?
Right. So I think it's just about doing it and doing it a lot. Like if you compare this to if you're just writing a track for yourself, you'll have endless time, right? And you're like running out of ideas. You feel I'm never going to finish this track because it's just you have no real deadline for it. But if you're working for someone or a project or a library, then you kind of just have to say that what I'm now delivering, that will be it. That's as good as I could get at this time. And then as you keep doing that, that level of quality will just naturally become higher and higher. So just by doing it, you can choose not to deliver, but that's your choice. But if you do deliver, that thing will be what it was, and next time it'll get better and better and better. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's practice makes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some people say practice makes perfect, and I always say practice makes your like minimal output at a higher level.
Exactly, isn't it? So because it's funny with inspiration, like you feel usually it's only you're judging what your output, right? So you're writing something, you feel I'm not getting any inspiration. Everything I write is just crap. That's mostly just you judging what you wrote, saying this isn't good enough. If you're delivering whatever you wrote, that's whatever it was, good or bad, that's you, and you're putting it forward there, and that will get better when you do it more often. Yeah.
Now, as you've turned in these tracks to the different music publishers you work with, do you ever get back notes from the music supervisor saying, can you adjust this? Can you massage that?
Absolutely, especially starting out the first few years. That's just a natural back and forth. You write something, usually for me, I would write the full track. Then I would get feedback saying, make the hits bigger. Can you take away this part? Add some more things here. So that's just a natural. You have to just be kind of open and willing for that feedback because it makes you better getting that professional feedback. Now, of course, as you do it more and more, the feedback becomes less because you're getting better at what you do. But you still want to improve. So you're just waiting for somebody to give you that little, change that. And you're like, thank you. That was what was missing from the track.
Yeah, I think that, of course, that's a very healthy and professional outlook. And I know so many composers that I speak with, especially when they're starting out. They feel kind of crushed, and personally, they take it very personally when someone has notes on their music. And I think that's one of those things where you have to be okay with criticism and rejection.
Yeah.
It happened to me 3 weeks ago. I had to do 5 revisions for one of my clients. So it just happens.
Those things I get to, especially if it's like if you're working with film music or something where you feel you're putting so much into this and then constantly this back and forth might drain you, yes, and that's something to work on, right? To try to get the ego out of it. It's not personal. It's not you per se. It's just it didn't fit whatever they were looking for, and just kind of going with an open mind, wanting to improve.
Yes. I also, I don't know if it's even possible, but I've thought of putting together a trailer rejection group just so people can post their music in the group and everyone can tell them that they need to fix this and that and this and that, and that just tell them, no, this track needs to be fixed and resubmitted, just so that they can get used to that being criticized, even if it's constructively,
That's really good. That's really good. And it should be more open, right? Just sharing and showing. Everybody goes through this.
Yeah.
I mean, half the stuff I write will just sound like crap in the beginning, and then you just you get better at it. And it's just to share that and to see that we're all basically just trying the same thing. And then it's nice to share that.
With that in mind, what role do you think your failures or feedback have played in your success?
I would say that it's a lot of experience, whether you're getting a track placed or you're just writing it for a library, it didn't get used. Every time you write, it's just an opportunity to get better. And failure, it's not failure per se, because you're already doing what you love. So you're just trying to hone your craft and face the little rejections or whatnot. But ultimately, you will get there because you just keep doing it. And it's just fun. It's still, those are the best moments, right? You're just in the flow, in the zone. You're writing something. You're not even thinking, is this going to get placed? You're just loving what you do. So it's all just that experience and having fun with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that, I think when you're doing the work that you already feel like this is what I would want to be doing with my time, and you're open to taking more input to make it more useful for someone else, be it an editor or a director, then you're just going to get better, and
that's right.
There is no failure.
Exactly. There is no failure. It's just keep going. Because it's a lot of fun, really. If you enjoy doing this, then just enjoy sculpting, whatever you're doing.
Now, I hear a lot of people, especially in Los Angeles, there's a lot of people that say, this composer's lucky because he got this opportunity. Other people say that this composer is super talented, and other people say this guy just works really hard. How do you attribute luck, talent, and hard work to your success thus far?
So I think luck, I don't know. I don't really know if I believe in luck per se. I believe opportunities come. They come to us all, and it's all about what did you do in that time when the opportunity hadn't come yet. So you love what you do, right? And you're just working at it. When opportunity comes, you'll be ready if you've, done your homework. So whether you're, sure, you can have talent. You can be at home watching TV, whatever, that's not going to get you so far, versus the guy who's working really hard. When opportunity comes, he's there to, or she's there to just, take that opportunity. So luck, I don't know. I think it's just chance, maybe, meeting people, but if you have worked at it, that will just naturally come forth, if you've, been doing it.
Yeah, being prepared for when those opportunities come. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be like crazy, oh my God, I have to prepare, because you never know, right? But it's just doing what you're doing and love what you do, and then naturally, I feel that's just going to come through. If an opportunity comes, you'll be ready. Yeah.
Do you think of yourself as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a tricky one, right? I feel in that spirit that it's always fun to just move forward, right? With what you do, you can be very generic as a composer, and it's still gonna get you, huge success if you want that. For me, it's more wanting to try something different, go a little this way, that way, just having fun, not being stuck in the same. And just that's what happened for me with trailer music. Starting out with film music a few years ago, 2011, 12. It just happened that I came into trailer music through my good friend Walid Fegali, who's the owner of Evident, also who offers courses. And that was just, what is trailer music? I had no idea. And then you just try something new. And it's about what you want for yourself. You want to develop, you want to grow. Yeah. Then I suppose we're all kind of entrepreneurs in a way, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Over the last few months, do you have a purchase that you've made under $100 that you're really thrilled with?
Right. So I would say, because it's funny, I bought like 1 or 2 plugins ever. Like libraries I'll buy, but mostly I'll use what's in Logic. They work so far because, as I'll talk about in the course too, it's for me more about balance and stuff like that. But one thing I did buy was, I think from Waves, the SSL G channel for $30. It was on sale for $29. So I just had to get that one. It's this great EQ and compressor and stuff in one. And I use that on all different instruments now. That's great.
Yeah, that one's fantastic. Do you use the SSL bus compressor at all?
No.
Okay.
That's pretty much the only one I have. As I said, very few libraries. Freebies, of course, one of those libraries I use. Plugins I use all the time is OTT from X4 Records. It's this multi-compressor, and it's just, it's amazing. So those things mostly, yeah.
Very good. Are you a coffee, tea, beer, or wine guy?
Ooh, I would say beer guy.
Yeah.
Beer guy. I mean, occasionally, tea in the morning, but no beer. If a beer is offered, I'll take that. Preferably IPA, whatever. Crazier flavors, the better. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I really love super hoppy IPAs myself. I don't drink a lot, but when I do, I want something that's going to punch me in the taste buds.
True, right? Same. Yeah, it's just nice.
All right. Scooper Fleming asks, how long did it take from the time you started working on trailer music till you got your first placement?
Okay. So let's see. The first placement, the first time I started was early 2014. And I think it took that first half year, 9 months or something, to get a little something in a very small trailer for some movie, The Anomaly. I think about 9 months there. Some people get it after just a few weeks, some months. They just kind of in perfect synergy with it. Other times for me, going from a little bit of the rock music and film music, took a little longer to transition into this. But yeah, most I would say within a year or so. Yeah.
And then one of our readers here, Paul Matthews, says he has a question for me and you.
Yeah.
When writing percussion, how do you achieve thick, epic percussion while not drowning out your orchestral sections?
Okay, so a lot of it now that I said I'm using Strikeforce, they sound absolutely fantastic out of the box. You have so many different layers to choose from. So a lot of things, what I do is I'll load them in a few patches. I like to EQ away first a lot of the lower end, from 200 or so in the bottom. And then just kind of have fun with what you're doing, and then just gradually feel my track is missing this lower thing. Bring back the EQ a little bit, see, but definitely start by cutting away a lot of stuff to see how it's doing in the lower end there.
And when you say cutting a lot of stuff, you're talking about cutting out your lower EQ for your
the frequencies below anything you feel is rumbling too much. Usually for me, it's 200 or 120 hertz down there. But yeah, that's how I start. And as that percussion library sounds so great, there's not that much you have to do. I mean, it sounds so good, Strikeforce. So that's definitely, I would recommend it, and that's my approach, yeah.
And Paul, my approach is I'm like a surgeon. I actually will go in and remove blocks of orchestral notes just so there's space for those hits to come through at times. So, if it's a percussion, fill or hit that'll lead you into your next 8 bars or something, the last 2 beats, I'll let the orchestra hit on the downbeat of the 3, and then I'll cut everything out on and just so I have the space there. So that's one of the things.
That's a really good idea too. That's really good. I think a lot of people also use it not for percussion with big impacts. Some people, not a lot. Maybe it's not used that much in trailers, but with side chaining, you have everything ducking out when those big impacts are coming. So I guess there's a lot of different techniques. I like what you were doing there, so I'm gonna think of that too. To just kind of let it fade out from that third beat, and then let the percussion go up there. That's
yeah.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, I think about it as you can only hear and perceive so much musically, and if our job is to give those editors clean, strong, focused cut points and hits, which is something that is always asked for, stronger, punchier hits, then if nothing else is playing, then that thing is going to be the loudest thing that's going on. So.
That's very true. No, that's really cool, man.
Another question we had from Ken. He asks, how many trailer tracks did you write before you finally got to a level of placing your tracks? You already told us how long it took. About how many tracks were you working on before then?
Let me think which track that was. That was the beginning where I was writing a lot for really slow motion. I can't say exactly how many tracks, but it was definitely 1, 2 or so albums in. And I would probably have 2, 3 or so tracks on each album. But yeah, I can't remember exactly how. But not that many, but wasn't after the first track either. So it was just kind of a natural progression with a few albums in, yeah.
Okay. And then is it a focus for you to set your sound apart from other trailer music of the time?
That is, that's probably just naturally for me with wanting to do what I talked about, the harmonies. Those things, I believe, are just for me, I don't know, it happens naturally that maybe you do set yourself apart, but I mean, the structure is still going to be trailer style, so you still sound, it sounds trailerish, but with me, at least the harmonies, I try to make it my own, I suppose, yeah.
This next question, I seem to be the only one who asks it, but but trailer music and advertising music are very stylish. It's very it's on a wave and a trend most of the time. And over the past 10, 15 years, we've seen the emergence and growth of Brahms and the form we have now.
Yeah.
Do you have any predictions about what we might see in the next 10 years or so? Because it probably will morph and change. Yeah,
right. It changed a lot. Oh, that's tricky because right now it seems to be a very big thing with using covers, right? You have trailerized versions of typical pop songs, hit songs. What will come, I feel maybe, since I've only been in it for 5 years or so, but I feel maybe it just goes in cycles with any kind of music. Trends go, and now you're seeing 80s music coming back and stuff. So it's might just be, again, orchestral only flavor, and then maybe once again back to hybrid, and then I'm not really, I couldn't really tell, but perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way to predict the future, but I'm just always curious.
Yeah.
Great. Hey, well, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And
of course, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I'll include links to everything below.